Wax's podcast, talking mad shit about uninteresting facts. Wax's podcast, listen to it every Wednesday.
Oh, yes. Wax's podcast, episode 78, taking it back to the basics with the original podcast jingle. I know that you care. I know that you're excited that I've actually found that. I thought that I had lost the file for the original podcast jingle. I thought it was lost somewhere in the shuffle. I've now owned so many Mac computers that I feel like they should be giving me free shit. But alas, I found it just by searching for the word jingle on my computer. I was searching for the word intro. And I guess I just let that slip through the cracks. You know? This is going to be an interesting podcast today. It's Wax's podcast, episode 78. This is going to be an interesting one because I have literally nothing to say. My mind, like my head right now just feels like the Sahara Desert. It just feels like an empty space. I have nothing interesting to say. I have no topics that I'm passionate about. I have no points of view that are relevant to any current discourse going on in our society, whether that be current events, newsworthy issues, things facing our society as human beings that might influence people in the way that they think and the way that they shape their opinions. Nothing going on right now. I'm not saying that nothing going on right now is interesting. A lot of shit going on right now is interesting. I just don't feel like saying anything about anything, and I don't have anything written down. I take that back. I have two things written down. I'll just go ahead and say what I got. Over the course of this week, this is what I managed to write down. One thing is, this was actually related to the emails I checked this week. One says, lots of you asked about merch. I guess like 2 episodes ago, you know, I'm always a little bit behind with the podcast emails, although I'm pretty well caught up right now. I'm definitely I'm about 3 weeks back, you know? And I think soon, if I do a podcast every week, I think soon I'll be like, I think I'll be caught up with the emails. But a lot of you guys asked, I guess 2 episodes ago, which was probably a month and a half ago or some shit like that. I mentioned that I had a lot of merch, a lot of spare wax merchandise laying around my house, which now is actually a lot of it. I rented a storage space where I keep a lot of the wax merchandise. Just old shit, you know? All the times in the past that I've ordered merchandise and there's been leftovers, you know, I just have that. Some of it is like this, you know, I use a company now to do merch, and they have like a warehouse in fucking Kentucky or Mississippi or some shit where like the stuff that's available now online is kind of kept there, but the stuff that I used to sell, that I used to actually ship out myself, excuse me for that little, whatever you call that, whenever you like suck inward through your nose and it makes that little noise. Excuse me for that. What is that called? Is that a bodily action that doesn't really have a name? You know, there's a sneeze, you blow your nose. What's it called when you suck in through your nose? You know, some people do it really bad when they have a snotty nose. It's like sometimes it's a precursor to a loogie hock. You know? Before you hock a loogie, you might actually suck some of the shit that's in your nose, down your esophagus, back into your mouth via the hock, and then spit it out. I guess that's considered gross. Is it? I don't know. Isn't that just another subjective word? Isn't that just a word that we all use in a different manner? I remember back in the day, I was just talking about this the other day. For some reason, we were talking about the band Green Day. And when I was a kid, that was one of the biggest bands in the world when I was a fucking kid. And I guess when I don't know how old I was, maybe 15, I went to see them live in concert. And his thing, the dude, Billy Joe Armstrong, did I get that right? Yeah, that sounds like a fucking baseball player from back in the day, or like actually Billy Joe Armstrong. I think that's his name. That sounds like a tennis player. Wasn't there a tennis player named Billie Jean King? Billy Joe sounds like it could be a girl's name even. But then again, in the old Steve Miller song, Take the Money and Run, it was actually the man. It was Billy Joe and Bobby Sue, both of which are man names, but it's actually the middle name, Joe and Sue, in wherever the fuck. I guess maybe in God, I'm going on some serious tangents, but I guess maybe in some certain redneck kind of areas, it's actually your middle name that determines your gender. Being that Billy Joe and Bobby Sue both had Billy and Bobby as their names, but one was Joe and one was Sue. And it was a story about Billy Joe and Bobby Sue, two young lovers with nothing better to do. Sit around the house, getting high and watching tube. Here's what happened when, if you don't know that song, that's Take the Money and Run by the Steve Miller Band. Anyway, I got on that tangent because I was talking about another band, which was Green Day. And when I used to see that well, I only saw him once, but one of the things that he used to do, the dude from Green Day would hawk up a huge loogie, hold his head back as if he was about to take a fucking shot or as if he was about to get a drink from, back in the day when there was no hose connected to the spigot. But you would like lean your head back and just get a drink right there, whatever. His fucking head was horizontal, so if something was vertical, it could fall straight into his mouth. He would make his head like that, tilt his head back, spit really hard. A loogie would fly like 30 feet in the air. He would play a couple chords, and then he'd look back up and he'd fucking catch it in his mouth. The dude would do that shit, man. Think about how difficult that is. First of all, how do you make it so your spit sticks that well? Like, maybe he has like a little thing on the side of the stage, like a little bucket full of sawdust, and he just puts some sawdust in his mouth, and then just kind of forms a loogie that will not break in the air, an unseverable loogie, if you will, because you're in a wide open arena. There could be some kind of gust of wind or just. It's fucking liquid. It's not a solid. It's one thing if he had spit a milk dud up in the air and then caught it. It'd still be amazing, in my opinion, especially considering the fact that he's playing the chords to the song in time at the same time. But, maybe he just spit a sawdust-covered loogie. And then catches it. And it was pretty amazing. So, yeah. Pretty wild stuff. Why did I do that? I don't know. I was talking about the merch. Oh, yeah. Why did I go? Because I had a bunch of merch. I have T-shirts, stuff like that. I was going to say there's a place in, I don't know why. I just made that thing. All right. So as far as merch, a lot of you guys were like, yo, let me get some of that wax merch. I had talked about doing an online yard sale or something like that, and getting rid of some of my old merch for really cheap. And I still plan on doing that, especially because now that I know a lot of you guys emailed me about it. And, because it was a lot of you guys and because I'm lazy as well, and because my shit's all in storage now, I don't really want to like do like little individual deals via email where like you send me a check and I fucking ship you out a shirt. Cause like it's kind of time consuming and my shit's in storage, blah, blah, blah. And there's, it'd be a lot of different deals being made. I'd rather not do that. So what I'm going to do is, I haven't put out music in so long that for me to like go on my social media outlets and be like, yo, I'm selling a bunch of shit. It just doesn't seem right to me. It doesn't seem like I deserve to sell a bunch of stuff when I haven't, I haven't done my job. If my job is a musician, I'm supposed to make music, right? And, like, if I have people that support me, that's kind of like what, if you do art, that's kind of what you have. You have fans that support you, and you come out with some shit. They'll help you out by buying your stuff, but I don't think that I can sell stuff right now because I haven't put out anything new. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait until after I put out my next project, which I'm 90% sure is going to, I think that I've made the decision. I think I'm going to do a mixtape. I got all these songs I'm working on. Some of them are kind of done. At this point, I've actually been finishing stuff, which is, strange enough for me. And some of it's really good. And a lot of the stuff that I'm working on is shaping up to be good as well. But the thing is, it doesn't have like, when you put together an album, granted, my last album had a lot of different genres and shit, but it kind of like, like made a statement as a whole, you know what I mean? Like you want it to kind of be like a collection, it makes a statement as a whole, And, in this case, I'm just kind of making a bunch of songs and they kind of have some different flavors and stuff like that. Plus, like, it's been so long since I put out music. I'd kind of like to let the people that follow me, my fans and shit, I just let them have that shit for free. I might do the thing where, like, I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to do it. I shouldn't even say anything on the podcast, but I think I'm going to do a mixtape. It'll probably come out in April. It'll be free, and maybe I'll do some shit where, like, if you want it, like that whole, like, yo, if you want to pay, you can, or something like that. I don't know what I'm going to do. But I do know that I'm not going to sell any merch until after. I mean, I'm selling merch. You can always buy some T-shirts and shit online, that like the ones that are available. But like as far as the old stuff, and I still got pint glasses. I think I still got some lighters. I might be out of lighters. I might be out of pint glasses, but I definitely got some tons of ping pong balls. I got the Scrub Life cups and old shirts of various types and shit. So I'm gonna do like the online yard sale or something of that effect, something to that effect. When, once I put that project out. But I don't want to do it any sooner because that'll just be like, it'll look like I'm just begging, really, So that was the first thing I had written down. The other thing I had written down, like, I don't really feel like doing a whole spiel on this. There's not really much to say. I think I was reading, it was somebody, Twitter is a really interesting thing. Somebody hit me up on Twitter and they said something. I can't remember exactly what they said. But I was like, yo, I knew right off top that it was a kid. And I went to their Twitter page, and it turned out that it was a kid. Like a little 12 or 13-year-old kid had a Twitter, and I started looking at his Twitter. I don't remember exactly what the stuff he was saying was, but it was like the thoughts of a 12 or 13-year-old. And this dude was kind of like, a 12 or 13-year-old that kind of thought that his thoughts were important and meaningful and stuff like that, and it just got me thinking, like, I'm glad that when I was that age, we didn't have a Twitter. We didn't have a form of media that I could write all my thoughts down, and that shit would be there forever for the entire public universe to see. If anything, when I was a kid, I didn't do this, but some people might have kept journals or diaries, and even in that case, like, you'd be embarrassed if your friend read it. You wouldn't let your mom read it. You might see it now and like kind of like giggle at how stupid you were and how dumb your thoughts were and how just like really useless, youthful, and ignorant, just non-astute, totally unknowledgeable when it comes to the ways of the world. Like, that's what your thoughts in your journal at that time would be. And unfortunately now a lot of these kids, they post up on Twitter and even Instagram or whatever, and they think their thoughts are important. I don't know. It's just weird. It's just weird how young people are when they start doing all this stupid shit. So yeah, that's my entire thought on that. There's really not much further I want to go. Like I said, I don't have anything written down. And my mind this week in particular, like really like this week, it's late. It's Tuesday. It's 11 p.m. I worked on shit all day. Worked on this random song, not for my mixtape. I'm going to have to fucking stop myself from working on any music that's not for my mixtape, I think, for the next couple months. If I'm going to really do this mixtape, I got to fucking put my entire being into finishing it. That's usually what I do when I do like a project like that. I'll spend, like, I kind of like, lazily get stuff together, halfway together for months. And then like the last like 40 days, I just fucking, my whole being is consumed with finishing, the project. And I just kind of work. And then usually right after it, I kind of like work on promoting it. And then I got to work on making videos. And I'm going to still do that. I'm going to make some videos. I actually got a new video done. Unfortunately, it's for an old song, but the video is pretty fucking crazy. Shout out to my boy PD Flow. I got a video for the song Dreamin'. I talked about that shit like a million podcasts ago, but the shit took forever to finish. It's got some like effects and whatnot that just took a long time. And I think I'm going to put it out next week. So be on the lookout for that. I know if you've heard my last album, which came out damn near 2 years ago, you've already heard the song. But it's still a fucking cool video, and it's worth your time to watch it. But yeah, for my next project, this mixtape, I'm gonna make some videos. I don't know what I'm gonna do about touring and stuff like that. I'm gonna have to see what happens after I put it out. But I'm thinking after I put it out, I might go on a trip. I don't think that I live enough life. I don't think that I, the only time I ever travel if I got to do a show or for some kind of work. Like, I don't remember the last time that I actually took a trip. Besides, like, I go to San Diego, which is a 2-hour drive all the time, and that's to see my family, my brother and his kids and his wife. I have a couple friends down there as well, but I'm talking like a real trip. I'm talking like get a plane ticket and go to like Alaska for a week, or go to like Tokyo and be a tourist. You know what I mean? I don't do shit like that. I never ever have. I can't remember the last time I did something like that. If I've ever done something like that, last time I took a vacation was I went to I did go to Puerto Rico like a little over a year ago, maybe exactly a year ago. So I kind of did some vacationing there, but even that was for like a family thing. My brother's wife is from Puerto Rico, and their son was getting baptized down there. So I stayed some extra days and kind of relaxed and vegged out. But I want to do a fucking, you know what I'm saying? I don't want to do like a relax and sit in a hammock trip. I'm trying to be a tourist. You know what I mean? I'm trying to get some history in me. You know what I mean? I want to go to Tokyo, man. That's where I want to go. I've never been. Ever since I was a kid, I've always wanted to go to Tokyo. Tokyo, and really just Japan in general. I'd like to go all around Japan. But Japan and Australia are the places that I want to go the most that I haven't been. I feel like Australia, I should be able to go. I probably could have already gone if I had really tried. But I should be able to go to Australia at least kinda for shows. I should be able to, I have fans there. I should be able to go to Australia and do some shows. So maybe that'll happen and I'll just extend my trip. But I don't have fans in Japan. I don't sell goddamn anything in Japan. So I got to go there and just be a tourist. And that's what I want to do, So I think once this mixtape is done, that's my next thing I'm going to do. I'm going to take a trip to Japan. And I'm just saying this now. So you guys got to understand, this podcast is really just a method of therapy for me and figuring out what I'm going to do. It's sometimes I'm alone a lot and I just sit there and think. And that's really all I do when I record this podcast, except instead of just thinking it, I talk it into a microphone. And sometimes if you say things into existence, they exist, So I hadn't realistically, since I was a kid, I wanted to go to Japan. But I haven't actually thought I'm going to go this year until just now. I just talked myself into it on Wax's podcast, episode 78. So let's see if I actually do it. Sometimes I talk out of my ass. Sometimes I talk out of my mouth. Huh? Yeah, Japan, man. That's where I'm trying to go. Just trying to go somewhere. Do some kind of traveling. I want to go back to Europe, too. I want to go back to Europe because they want me to come over there. And I want to go back and do shows and shit. We'll see what happens. We'll see if I get another opportunity to do that. If not, hey, I might just go over there and hang out. You know what? Let's do some shout-outs and questions. Oh, god damn. Fucking just sat down in a chair and made an old man noise. All right. There it goes. It took me a while. As usual, when I went and looked for the questions and shout-outs that I put in my email, I got distracted by some bullshit on Yahoo front page news. It was something, I'm not going to talk about what it was, but it was some political shit, and it had to do with a fucking little kid shooting people, which is really crazy. And, what kind of fucking world are we living in these days, people? That being said, who knows if these videos are real, man? I've talked about this on the podcast before. How come they always, when they're going to kill somebody, they always cut it out at the last minute? Sometimes I feel like these are propaganda videos, but what do I know? I don't know anything. It's January 13th, so that means I haven't drank, haven't smoked a cigarette, Not one puff and not one sip for 12 days. So, well, fucking great to me, you know. I'm actually feeling a little bit better. I was feeling really moody and shitty the first week, and I feel like I should be more focused on that process, more focused on the fact that I've quit smoking and quit drinking, and maybe even more, you know, proud of myself. Maybe I should be more proud of myself, but I'm not. I'm just kind of going through, doing it, living day by day, and you know, 12 days really isn't that long, but I'm still tempted every night. God, I mean, I wish that I had all that stuff right now. I wish that I had all those drugs inside of my body right now. I wish that I could, I don't know, man. There's something with that shit. There's something in some of us. I don't think all of us, but there's something in some of us humans. And when my mixtape comes out, I'm certainly going to talk about it in some of the songs. There's something within some of us humans that are we just naturally want to destroy ourselves to a certain extent. Maybe we hate ourselves in a certain kind of way. Maybe we feel useless. Maybe it's because our society and technology has evolved so much faster than our bodies and, you know, our natural state. I feel like human beings naturally just want to survive. You just spend most of your time busy looking for food, looking for shelter, building shelter, trying to fix problems. And, you know, nowadays it's just this weird society we live in compared to how it was, you know, 600 years ago or whenever. I mean, forget 600 years ago, 3,000 years ago, when we were just hunter-gatherer, forager people. You know, and we're really not any different physically now, but our society is certainly a lot different. And a lot of the shit that we do just seems fucking useless. And maybe that's why we do things to destroy ourselves. I don't know. Because beer's been around for a long time and wine has been around for a really long time. So I think people just like to get fucked up. I've talked about it before. We're naturally built to get fucked up. I've talked about it so many times on this podcast, I'm not going to go heavily into it. But if you haven't heard me talk about it, what is an orgasm? Like one thing, that you know, the only thing we're really programmed to do, I mean, we're programmed to eat, we're programmed to sleep, and we're programmed to fuck. Like we want to fuck, we want to reproduce, that's why we're still here. And what makes us want to fuck? We want to have that orgasm. And what is an orgasm really but getting high? So it's my opinion that humans are programmed to be wanting to get high. So instead of repeating shit I've said a million times on the podcast, why don't I do something that I do every time on the podcast, and that is the shout-outs. Let's start with Pharaoh M., Aaron the violinist, Tyler J. Tyler J. recommends a song called Got It by an artist called Marion Hill, and I actually clicked on the link that he sent me, and it actually is a really good song, so I recommend it as well. Shout out to Martin J. from Philly, Grant C. in the UK. Shout out to you, Grant C. I don't know why I said it twice, but also if I hadn't mentioned it yet, shout out to Grant C. Alphonse L., who recommends the Shady Cypher and Run the Jewels too. I actually did see the Shady Cypher a while ago. It was when Eminem and Yellow Wolf and all the dudes in Slaughterhouse, Royce the 5'9", see if I can name Slaughterhouse, Joe Budden, Crooked Eye, and who's the other? Joel Ortiz. It's like a long-ass video. It's like watching a fucking sitcom full of acapella raps. That's how long that video is. But they're definitely, you know, if you like that kind of thing, if you like the acapella rapping, you certainly are in for a treat. I only watched it once, but I remember I liked Crooked Eye's part. I liked all of it. And Run the Jewels, too. I did listen to that. Definitely some hard beats on that shit. So I recommend that as well. Okay, Joey W. from Alabama. TJL, who recommends J. Cole's album. Like, as you can probably tell by, you know, some of these recommendations, you know, don't blame TJL and Alphonse L. Not related as far as I can tell, just because they both have the last initial L. I don't think that they're related. You know, don't blame them since their recommendations seem a month old. That just means they sent me an email a month ago with some brand new recommendations. You know, Shady Cypher and J. Cole's album. But yeah, I think I talked about J. Cole's album a couple podcasts ago. But yeah, I definitely recommend that as well. We got Brian from Arnold, Maryland. We got Eddie from mcalbrand.com. I feel like the last few podcasts I've actually mentioned them. That's music, culture, art, and life, I believe it was. Brand.com. Check that out. Trevor R. Pedro X in the Valley. Jackie Sweetleaf. Blaine S. from Canada. J Def. Shout out to J Def by way of A Def. A Def telling me to give J Def a shot. And they actually are brother and sister. People that I know actually in real life on a personal basis. I haven't seen them in a while, but shout out to both of you, the Defs. We got Nate the Plate. Nate the Plate from Michigan. Shout out to his wife, the Knife. That's not really what his wife's name is, but if he's Nate the Plate, I like to think that his wife, the Knife, or, maybe it's fucking his friend is Joel the Bowl. Fucking, what's another kind of plate? There's a plate, a bowl, saucer. There's not fucking Geoffrey Chaucer the saucer. Isn't Geoffrey Chaucer an old English Canterbury Tales? Am I getting this right? Did I remember something from high school? Did Geoffrey Chaucer write the Canterbury Tales? Did I just remember something random from high school? That just goes to show you how powerful the human brain is. And before I say this, I should fact check to make sure that's even a correct thing. But I'm pretty sure that Geoffrey Chaucer wrote the Canterbury Tales. I don't know why I know that. I don't really know what that is. I know it's England. I know it's back in the day, probably 1600s, something like that. But I'm pretty sure that that's the case. And it's definitely a fact that I haven't thought about that since high school. And somewhere in the back of my brain, somewhere in the deep fucking 20,000 leagues under the main frame of my brain in some old hard drive. So old it's actually not even a hard drive, it's just a floppy disk. There was one piece of information that just somehow I was able to maintain, and that was the fact that Geoffrey Chaucer wrote the Canterbury Tales. And maybe that's not even correct, but it probably is something that I said on a test back then, and if it wasn't correct then, it's not correct now. But it actually is pretty fucking amazing. Like, I was just thinking about this the other day when I was driving, and there was a random ass song from way back in the day that I hadn't heard, and I started singing all the lyrics, and I was like, how the fuck do I still remember this? The amount of song lyrics that you have memorized, you might not even realize it, but it's incredible. All right, so we went with Nate the Plate. We say Geoffrey Chaucer the saucer, his wife the Knife, Joel the Bowl. That's enough. That's enough. This podcast is not the funniest of podcasts. All right, we got Jordan from Florida. And last but not least, we got Frank from Monster Film. All right, questions. This is the first question. It's by Tommy or Tomi. It's Tomi. But I don't know if that's spelled Tommy or Tomi. Hey, Wax, once again, I want to thank you for continuing the podcast. Shit is funny, man. Oh, I appreciate that. I was just talking about how unfunny this one was. I actually listened to, somebody told me the other day, somebody emailed me about how funny they thought something was that I said on the podcast, and I listened to it. Whatever. I don't know what the fuck I'm saying. I actually did say something funny on a previous podcast. That's what I meant to say. I never, ever go back and listen to my own podcast. Why would I do that? But I did recently because somebody was talking about something specific. I was like, oh, shit, that actually was pretty funny. Also, you are probably sick of hearing this. This is from Tomi. Also, you're probably sick of hearing this, but some new YouTube videos would be cool. All right, got one coming for you soon. I also have a question for the podcast. As you have often said yourself, there's no guarantee that your professional career as a musician lasts forever. Absolutely. So what would you do for a living if it happened to come to an end? Keep doing what you do and inspiring people. Peace. I appreciate that. It's interesting that I inspire people. I know that I do because people say that I do, but it's so weird. Like, being a musician sometimes can be a very, very, very hands-off way of inspiring people, and sometimes you really need to like go out there on the road and talk to people and meet people, and you really need to check your emails and your Facebooks. I never check my Facebook messages, and I really should, because it would give me more encouragement, because people actually do listen to my shit and become inspired by it, and I appreciate that, Tommy. So what would I do? Let's say this professional musician thing ends, which of course it not only is it possible, I mean, really, it's likely. It's likely. It's not like I've made millions of dollars doing this. And I'm getting older. The older I get, the less that I have a possibility of being the sex symbol I've always was meant to be to young teenage women. But as I get older, the least possible that is. But, there's always Brad Pitt and George Clooney and these motherfuckers who are like 60 and they're still doing their thing. I don't I don't know. I just laugh like that because it's definitely not the type of musician I am. Anyway, if this shit does end, which it probably will, I will probably just move in with somebody I know and mooch off them and just talk about the good old days and just probably resume my drinking career and flood my body with alcohol until my liver fails, and then die. And hopefully that person that I was mooching off of before I died will, have enough money to pay for my cremation, or at least just throw my body in a bonfire in the backyard. So they have a big enough yard to have a bonfire, and throw my fucking alcohol-soaked body into that bonfire. I assume with the amount of alcohol that will be in the body, it'll probably be pretty flammable. So that's a help. Honestly, that probably is the fucking truth. But I would be I've been out of the workforce for so long that it just seems like a nightmare to have to go out and work a regular job. I'm so spoiled and so jaded and so, God, man, I really need to sit back and really realize how good I have it, man. I don't spend enough time pondering how well my life is going. I tend to focus on the negative. I tend to be pessimistic, and I tend to be generally unhappy, at least recently. Dude, if my professional musician, if it ends, hopefully, I'm in LA. Hopefully, I could get into some other area of show business. Maybe comedy, maybe writing comedy. Maybe I'll try to do something else creative. Maybe write a script, something like that. But if I had to go to just an hourly wage or salary kind of job, maybe I'd go back to being a delivery guy. I'm pretty smart. I don't know why I'm laughing so fucking wholeheartedly today. But I just laugh because, I guess I'm pretty smart. I could do something. That involves being smart. All right. Thank you, Tommy. I'm sure that speaking of me being inspirational, I'm sure that answer that I provided for that question was extremely inspirational to you and your family. All right. The next one is from Mark. Dear Wax, can't wait for new music. Take your time on the podcast. Music comes first. I appreciate that, man. I will have some soon, hopefully. I definitely will have some soon. I definitely will have some soon. I got a bunch of shit that's good that I can't wait to put out. I've recently started talking to my ex again. Uh-oh. This guy, background, this guy Mark had actually written in a while back about his ex-girlfriend. I guess he broke up with his girlfriend. Whatever, let's just read. I've recently started talking to my ex again. We took a months break. That's his error. Months break from each other, and last night she agreed to dinner. Dinner was great. We went through all the small talk BS, but during the whole get-together, all I could think of is that this is the most beautiful girl I've ever seen, and I really don't want to screw this up again. There are other girls that I'm talking to and chilling with, and she knows this. Should I just stay cool with her or tell her my feelings? I really do love and care about her, but I just don't want the pain and heartbreak. Our song is Stupefied, by the way. Oh, it's still Stupefied. I guess you had said that on your last thing. You make great love/breakup songs. Oh, thanks, I guess. And if you could, can you please give a shout out to Libby and sing her the chorus from Stupefied? wait, if Libby is this girl, then she's listening to this, like she's listening to my advice on the letter you sent me, and in the letter you sent me that you're revealing her feelings. So I don't understand why I would give her a shout out. I guess you know what it is. Maybe you want to tell her, yo, listen to this podcast, and then Libby will know that Mark really has these intense feelings for her. Maybe that's a really easy way to let her know that you love and care about her and think she's the most beautiful girl you've ever seen. Maybe that's what it is. I wouldn't recommend doing that. But in case you do, shout out to you, Libby. I'm not going to sing the chorus Stupefied right now. You can play it in your iTunes or Spotify or your compact disc player if that's the way you want to go. But I'm not. I'm not doing that. I'm laughing wholeheartedly today, y'all. All right. That means it's late at night. If she is listening right now, shout out to you, Libby. And hey, that's how Mark feels. He's so in love with you that he's scared to tell you because he knows that it might evolve. You know, it might end up in him being hurt because if you don't share the same feelings, that might really break him up, and he'd rather just kind of, still be your friend and kind of, like, I guess just fucking love you but not be with you. I don't know. To me, that doesn't really make sense. If you're really, like, into her like that, this is the way I look at it, man. If you're like, infatuated with this girl like that and you're just thinking about her, like, having no offense, I've been, everybody's been there, man. Like having like those kind of corny love thoughts, like this is the most beautiful girl I've ever seen. I don't want to screw this up, blah, blah, blah. Like you got to just tell her, man. You got to tell her because you can't be friends with her. You can't just be friends with a girl like that. And like, then she fucking brings around the dude she's fucking with to your, and you're double dating. And like you're with some girl you don't give a fuck about and she's with her man. And maybe she's madly in love with that dude. Like, you don't want that. So you just got to tell her, be like, look, like, are we going to do this or not? And if it's not, then just, the thing's got to kind of be done. And it's going to take time. That's the only thing, when you fall in love with the girl and it doesn't work out, whether it's a breakup or she doesn't want to get with you or whatever, you might be heartbroken. Maybe for you, I remember in your letter that you were young. So it might be your first time, but you got to go through that first like real bad heartbreak, man. It's going to take months, maybe even years, however long, to fully get over it. But that's just life, and you got to deal with it. And the only thing that heals heartbreak is time. I know through experience, and I'm sure a lot of older listeners or even younger listeners that have been through the shit could agree with me. So you got to tell Libby, if you're listening to this, you heard what the fuck I just said. So, what are you going to do? Up to you. I actually had a song called, I used to have a crush on a chick named Libby. I had a song about her. I was like, Libby, how'd you get so pretty? What'd your mom do? Tell me what your dad do. Did he put something in your milk to turn your skin to silk? I had this crazy song about this chick named Libby. That's weird. All right, next song. Next question. Wait, this is from Roger C. I've been a fan for a while. I appreciate the praise. My question is, what was your favorite album of 2014 and what albums are you anticipating? Personally, I believe not many good hip-hop albums came out this year, but I'm ready to hear the new J. Cole album and Ghostface album. So, of course, obviously, this is from December 6th. I can see right here. These will probably be out by the time you read this. Way to go, Roger C. You predicted the future. Thanks, man. Sincerely, Don Cheadle, a.k.a. John Cusack, a.k.a. any other name of an actor that sounds goofy and funny as shit. All right. So this email made me realize, as usual, like, I'm not the person to ask about what albums were the best albums of this year or any year because I'm not that dude that, like, I'm not really the dude that sits around and listens to all the new albums that came out. I want to be like that. For years and years, I've told myself, like, yo, you should be aware. Keep abreast. Keep abreast of all the new music that's coming out. Know what other people are doing. Be influenced by other people. Be inspired by other people. Find out how good people are. Find out how whack people are so you can know that you're better than them and just kill the game. But alas, usually what ends up happening is when I do listen to music, I just listen to shit from the 90s. But I have listened to some albums from 2014. I listened to some. Not enough. I listened to, as far as rap, I listened to Prime. I listened to Run the Jewels 2. I listened to J. Cole. I listened to Logic. I listened to, what was that other album I listened to? I listened to the Freddie Gibbs Madlib one a few times. I liked that one. That's probably, you know what? That was probably my favorite rap album this year. That one and the J. Cole album. There wasn't really any other albums besides those that made me even really want to listen again. But that's also because, you know, I've heard a lot of this shit before. A lot of the shit that's being made right now, it's kind of like everybody's singing the same fucking melodies and everybody's kind of making similar shit. Like there's a style, you know, like it's like a mixture of like, you know, Kanye, Drake, and Kendrick are kind of like the modern innovators that I've heard. People that have innovative styles. Although I thought Chance the Rapper's shit from 2 years ago or whenever that was pretty unique. But a lot of the dudes I hear, like, they just kind of have like this. They make this. People are singing the same fucking melodies, man. And some people are just not really saying shit that's hasn't been said before or saying things more cleverly than anybody else or whatever. I don't know. Maybe I'm just a hater. But, you know, my favorite album from 2014 that I heard was the D'Angelo album, Black Messiah. I'm a huge D'Angelo fan. And that album is interesting. It's not, you know, it didn't blow my mind the way Voodoo did when it came out. I'd even honestly probably put Brown Sugar. I'd probably say D'Angelo's albums in order of how much I like them are still going to be Voodoo the top, Brown Sugar the second, and Black Messiah is still probably the third. But there's some joints on there, man. Like, it's a little strange at first, but you know, if you take a couple listens, you realize how good it is. Some of those songs are just tight, and it's just real feel good. It makes you want to just ride around and listen to it, and just kind of gets inside of your bones. You know, the music just kind of permeates through all your pores. There's a couple songs that they're talking about on the liner notes, like, we didn't use any computers, man, on some Dave Grohl shit. Like, we used all fucking analog shit. And sometimes it's like, yeah, that's cool, but like, there was a couple tracks on there that you know, I wasn't that big on the mixing. I wasn't that big of a fan of the mixing, and I usually like, I like it for the most part. But there was just a couple elements, like, what's the name of that joint? Is it Back to the Future? With the bass, just like, it just fucking sticks out like a sore thumb and just does not sound good in the car, and it almost makes the track really hard to listen to. So, you know, even my favorite album of the year, of course, the first thing I said is a bunch of negative shit about it because I'm a negative fucking Nancy. I want to be a positive Petunia. All right, last letter is from Geoff. This is from Geoff. I somewhat recently became an uncle. Well, congratulations to you, Geoff. I've been an uncle for a long time because my sister has an older child, and who's not even a child anymore. He's a man now, but now I'm the uncle of 3 boys. I still don't have a niece, but I have 3 nephews. And being an uncle is amazing, so congratulations to you, Geoff. All right, I recently became an uncle, and I have occasionally been asked to watch the little man. One of his favorite things that I show him is Little Scrubs. Nice having a few things to play for him that aren't just the most annoying bullshit in the world. So to all the parents, much older siblings, uncles, aunts, or babysitters of young kids, I would suggest taking a look over at Herbs' YouTube channel, Little Scrubs. Good luck on that no beer year, man. Geoff! Thanks, Geoff. Yeah, so I wanted to read this because in case you guys don't know, I know a lot of people that listen to this podcast may be older, maybe have kids, maybe have a nephew, maybe know somebody with kids, or just have some cousins or whatever. You have little sister, little brother, have some young children in your life. And if you didn't know, for a couple of years, my brother, his wife, and my boy Galen have been making these children's music videos. It goes by Little Scrubs, and I guess that's a play on Scrub Life. You know, but it's not. I don't really do anything with this shit. I mix some of the stuff, but Little Scrubs, check it out. There's a rapping giraffe named MC Longneck. In the most recent video, he went to space. So if you go to YouTube and type in space rap, or I don't know if it'll be the first thing that comes up if you type space rap, but if you type in MC Longneck or Little Scrubs or space rap, dude, let me just fucking. Hopefully my internet's working right now. I'm just gonna look up. I think it's just youtube.com/ Of course it's not working. Of course the internet is not going to work right now. The one time. The internet I have at our studio is just not reliable whatsoever. It's just shitty. It's just bad. Okay, so I'm going to trust that you can find it. I'm going to trust that you have search skills that are, if you type in MC Longneck, you will find all their shit on YouTube. And it's for kids, so don't judge it based on your own hip-hop listening to. Don't listen to this rapping cartoon giraffe and be like, yo, but it ain't as hot as the J. Cole album, no. Just don't look at it that way. And what the fuck am I talking about? I wanted to say something else too. Yeah, it's for the kids, Little Scrubs. Hoping they can have some more success with that. People can watch it. See if your kids like it. Let him know. Hit up my brother on Twitter. Herbal Tea is great. That's his Twitter. And let him know if your kids like it. Let him know if they don't like it. Be like, yo, I showed this to my kid. He was like, ugh, turn Sesame Street back on. This is terrible. Like, even if that happens, let us know. Other announcements. If you didn't know by now, you can go to my podcast page and buy shit on Amazon.com and I get a piece of it. If you go to my website is wax.com. That's waxdotcom.com. And then you click on podcasts. There's a link there, and it takes you to Amazon.com. And if you do that and then buy something on Amazon.com, it doesn't cost you any more money, but they give me some kind of little piece of what you buy. So that's my little advertising. I've hardly made any money because I hardly ever even talk about it on the podcast. I hardly ever mention it. Not to mention, I don't even keep the money. It goes to my brother's diaper fund. It goes straight to my brother. I have no idea how much we made. He regulates that shit. I know it's nowhere. I don't think we've reached $15 yet. I'm pretty sure we have not reached $15. But, if you're going to buy something on Amazon, you might as well do that. It doesn't cost you any more money. It's just a couple more clicks, and away you go. Away you go into the e-distance. No resistance. Buy that shit each Christmas. I've been rapping a lot recently, y'all. I've been writing a lot of rap verses. I kind of took a break from writing rap verses for a while. I've been doing it for so fucking long. When I moved, I realized how long I've been doing it. I have I used to do the shit with paper. And I have notebooks and papers. I have all this. I never, I kind of save a lot of my old ones. And I have shit from so long ago that's just like these little pieces of paper of me writing stuff. I want to go back to it. I think I'm stuck now, though. I'm stuck on the phone. I write all my rap verses on my phone now. And it's kind of a shame because, once the shit is recorded, like if it's on the computer, if it's on a CD or an album or on iTunes or whatever it is, once I put it out, it's like I just delete the fucking shit. I just delete, the notepad thing that had that on it. And, there's nothing to hoard. But yeah, I don't know. I think that I was better, and I think that I liked it better. And I think there's something, I don't know how to explain it, and maybe this is just a part of getting old, and you just yearn for your older shit you used to do. Just like when your dad said something sounded better on 8-track. There's just something about writing rhymes on a piece of paper with a fucking pencil or pen that's just different than doing it with your stupid iPhone. there's just something different about it, something more organic, and it feels like it comes out of you. And you have to use the skill that you have of writing, and you might have to erase or scratch stuff out, not just delete it and it's gone forever. Copy and paste and then cut and blah blah blah. You see your errors, you see everything, and there's just something more organic about that. I think I won't though. I say that I want to switch back, but I won't. It's so convenient. I used to write on the back of everything. I used to write on matchbooks, napkins, all that shit. And I still have some of that stuff saved. And it's just crazy how long I've been writing rhymes, how long I've been writing down words that rhyme. It's just so weird, so strange. Like, other people don't do that, and I've been doing it for so fucking long. And like, I'm ready to take it to the next level. I don't know exactly what that means, but it's just such a strange pursuit. Like, if you're trying to be a quote unquote skilled rapper, and if you're like me, where like something that you find interesting is like the whole, like, a lot of syllables rhyming and like making weird little metaphors. Like, sometimes I feel like it's better to just say what the fuck you're saying, Like, if you want to say that you're horny, be like, my dick is hard right now. I want to have sex with a girl like blow. Just why does it gotta be, some of my favorite rappers growing up rap like that. Like, Too Short was like one of my favorite rappers. Because you ain't never going to misconstrue what he's saying. And he's not trying to impress you with his little word games. You know what I mean? And I've been playing that word game so long. Sometimes I feel like maybe Too Short's not necessarily this example, but people that are really good at rapping, sometimes the better you get, actually you kind of chill out on the bullshit. You kind of chill out on the whole quote unquote skills. Like, skills, rap skills is a ridiculously subjective term. Like, the ability to tell a story with a song, like, doesn't have to necessarily involve, you rhyming 5 syllables and then rhyming 3 syllables within the line and all this shit. I mean, that stuff's cool, but if it makes the story harder to tell and more convoluted and less easy to understand, does that really make it better? I don't know. Just talking to myself. That's what I do on Wax's podcast. That's really all this podcast is me talking to myself, right? I mean, it absolutely is, because I just answered my own question. So by answering my own question, I actually answered my own question that I had posed previous to that question that I had answered with the question. And with that being said, be safe out there.